You know, I know we're going to have a great time off the pitch. I know the Aussies are going to be a great laugh as well. So off the pitch, I think it's going to take care of itself a little bit. Didn't have much choice, did I? Run two of our players out.
You did, yeah. I wasn't going to bring that up, but you did. You barbecued a couple, yeah.
He's going to be a big player in this series as well. And I think if he can hit the heights that he did in the last domestic series, he will be one of the top wicket takers, I think, in this series. For sure.
Backyard Cricket England is now in partnership with Telsa Media, a digital marketing agency with offices both at home in the UK and abroad. For all your digital business needs, call 0203 322 3098, email hello@telsamedia.com or visit www.telsamedia.com. Backyard Cricket England, now proudly sponsored by Telsa Media.
Hello, and welcome to the final extended edition of the BCE Ashes podcast for the Backyard Cricket England team that's going to Australia this year to compete in the world's first ever Backyard Ashes and World Cup tournament. And we have the big one today. We've been saving this one for last. Today's guest is, of course, the captain, the lead organiser, the brains of the organisation, God help us all. It is Ricky Borrett. Ricky, welcome to the podcast, Skip. How's it all going?
Pleasure.
Yeah, you've watched everyone else's podcast. What's going to be more nervous, being on this or playing the series?
Probably this, to be
This
fair.
is a nerve-wracker, isn't it?
Don't mind hitting the ball before.
Well, the good news is I'm not feeling very well. It's raining and he's hungover, so we're off to a flyer here.
It's not great. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here and obviously to do this podcast with my partner in crime.
Yes, it has.
So,
and it has been close to crime getting this off the ground, a lot of it, and we will cover that. So we're going to talk today. We're going to be not so much doing any childhood background or club cricket with Ricky or anything like that. We're going to keep this Ashes specific, and this might be a slightly extended version, might be longer than the other podcasts, we don't know yet. But we're going to touch on how the Ashes came about, what work has gone into it, to give you guys an idea of how much has gone into this trip so far. We'll talk about our squad, has all been announced by the time this goes out, and we'll have a little bit of a chat about what we're expecting from the series. So we'll go back to the very start then, Rick. I know you've told this story in a podcast with Brendan on the WCG channel, but let's just remind everyone again, the brainchild, the birth of this Ashes series came in an unlikely location, didn't it?
Yeah, so I was on holiday with one of my mates. We were virtually in the arse end of nowhere, about 400 miles from the North Pole, which is...
It was in Norway, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's an island above Norway, a couple of hours above Norway, called Svalbard. Absolutely, basically a desert of snow, and there's a little village, and you've kind of got to be very careful at night because of polar bears and stuff, so sort of once it's dark, you kind of really should stay in. So yeah, so I got a bit bored, went on YouTube, started watching, don't know how I found it, it must have popped up, I found WCG, and every night I just started watching it, and then one thing led to another, and then we were in this very pub, me and you got drunk and said, "Do you want to go to Australia?"
Yeah. So really, in essence, you could argue this whole series has started out of fear of polar bears.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Which is quite an odd way for an Ashes to start.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, to be honest.
Svalbard, Norway to the WCG Australia. There's some air miles wrapped up there.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, had I not been in a situation that I was in that particular time, I may have never ever discovered it, and we may have never been going. So there's been a lot of hurdles throughout the sort of 4 years where we've been trying to go.
Yes.
Where I think, you know, if something hadn't gone a certain way, we might not have gone, and that was kind of the first one, I think. So.
Yeah, so it started obviously, like you say, in this very pub, and we do want to give a big shout out to the Bedford Tavern, Croydon, who have been wonderfully accommodating with us, and it's a pleasure to be here to do this, so thank you to them. But it was here. This was back in, I think, around Christmas 2019, give or take, that you've been to Norway.
Yeah, I think it's in October, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you spoke to me around Christmas, New Year here, outside, and saying, look, I found this channel, and what do you think? And we were saying, this is doable.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But the hard part was going to be getting a team together. And at that point, I think we managed to find, was it 6 we were going with?
Yeah, so I think we found 6. I mean, obviously, this was beer talk, which tend to get a bit more exciting and unrealistic when it comes to stuff. Yes. We kind of thought I knew sort of you've always had an ambition of playing cricket sort of abroad.
Yeah, it's always been on the bucket list.
I know you've always, so I sort of thought half you would be in, you know. I knew Jake would be in.
Yeah, Jake's never going to turn
Jake,
out.
yeah, Jake, I know he's been
Who was in
frustrated.
that original squad? So we did manage to get a team, didn't we, of about 7 or 8?
Yeah, so originally...
It was us, Jake
yeah.
Butler, Rob Woodward,
Yeah.
Lewis Chapman.
Yeah.
Was
Rob
the Maguires,
Maguire,
were they
Rob
in it? Were
Maguire.
both of them, or was it just Rob?
Both Maguires were in it.
Both of them.
I think that was it. But at the time when I was watching, when I first watched it, they started doing like their actual game was 8-a-side, and it was only after
Yeah.
the New Zealand series that they started doing 10-a-side. I don't
Which
know.
I think is better,
yeah.
personally.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's just more of a headache for us to get 10
It
players.
has,
to
and
the other side of the
that
world.
we will come to a little later on. But initially we had the 8, and we came up with this idea, or you approached me with this idea around Christmas, and we actually had the flights booked as soon as March. that year.
Yeah.
And then there was a slight issue, wasn't there, where the entire world shut down.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to be going that October. And looking back on it now, we might be one of the only people who have benefited almost. That's probably the wrong insensitive word to use, but from the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because I think looking back on it now, if we're being honest, we booked it in March, we would have gone in October, we probably would have got splattered, wouldn't
Yeah,
we?
so kind of like the first squad we had, I mean, we had some decent players, but then we also
But none of us had ever played anything like this before.
Yeah.
Never played. We played a couple of practice sessions in a park, I think,
Yeah.
somewhere in Sanderstead or wherever, and that was the extent of it.
Yeah,
before
so I think
weren't gonna go.
we had a few good players that never played, and we had a few non-cricketers that sort of we just tried to get a team because we just wanted to go there for a
Yeah.
laugh.
And it would have been very much just a boozy holiday rather than a series. That the cricket would have been a side.
I don't think we really thought we would win. I think it was just
No,
the
that was
experience.
more to go. I think we would have got battered, but it wouldn't. It would have just been about the booze and having fun, and you know, whereas now it's an actual series we want to win.
Yeah.
So, and again, like, what attracted you to it then? Because you say these long hours in Norway with the dark and all this. Did it take a bit of convincing for you, or was it a case of the first video you saw? Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. Or was it kind of, oh, this looks a bit okay, and then needs to see more of it?
I loved it, to be honest. Like so like I would say backyard cricket in England is probably not as popular as in Australia. I think like
No, it's not possible. We all live on top of each other. The weather isn't
but
conducive to it.
where I grew up in sort of like a 3-block flats, we did have like a massive garden at the back because obviously you had like
a communal.
Yeah, because you had like
space,
30 or 40 odd people living in, you know, the blocks. So we had a massive garden. So I did actually, luckily, have the luxury of playing backyard cricket when I was younger.
And not just that. I remember me, you, and another mate of ours, Cowsey. We used to play backyard tennis out there as well.
Yeah.
In that.
So it's like I think I played cricket a little bit before I met you. I was a bit younger. I think I was about 14. But I did, you know, we used to play the Incredible, the swing balls. So sort of like I sort of had half of a sort of idea already from when I was younger. So it was kind of like just trying to get you guys on board with it. And you know, I think it was quite an easy sell, to be fair.
Yeah, I didn't take a lot of convincing.
Yeah.
I think I was pretty much on board as soon as I saw the videos and thought it would be an amazing thing. And I think because my advantage was the first videos that I saw from the WCG were their New Zealand series.
Yeah.
So starting with an international series, and it kind of was like a pull.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a race against time. We want to do it before someone else thinks of it.
Yeah,
Another England team could go there and beat us to it. So we
Yeah.
wanted to get there first. And then obviously the pandemic. But the pandemic did have one advantage, which is that it allowed us to do a domestic series.
Yeah.
To sort of prepare. And obviously, I mean, the cricket in itself was good fun, but even the preparation for that, forget about the tour in Australia, the preparation for that is quite
So obviously,
hefty work.
Yeah, so we obviously don't have our own venue. I don't have my own house yet. So it was kind of booking indoor venues, obviously getting teams together. It's a little bit harder to sell, to come and play cricket in an indoor dome, for example. It's not as easy to sell, so you've got to try and get, 16 to 20 players. Booking a venue, get money off people to pay for the venue, that's obviously not free. Obviously, you've done a great job with the kits, which again was on budget, but we've done a great job.
Yeah, it's all wasn't it? And the camera work as well.
Yeah.
Even I think people that even have played in our series don't realise the amount that goes into just hosting a domestic game.
Yeah, it was really
before
hard.
and after. Like, obviously, there's all the work beforehand, and then you've got to play the game. Then afterwards, there's hours in front of the editor.
Yeah, no, it's not easy. I mean, for obviously me and you, for different reasons, we've sort of taken over our life for
It has
4
been.
years.
It's been the bulk of the last 4 years for us. It's been almost a full-time job.
Yeah, and it's at times made us a little bit ill.
Yeah.
the stress of it, but it will be worth it because it will be fantastic. I think, you know, the thing since the pandemic, the one thing I would say is that their team's improved, our team's improved. We are 100 times more prepared.
Oh yeah, I mean now we'll actually have a competitive series. Whether we win or lose, we'll have a competitive series.
The domestic series.
If we'd gone when we were supposed to go, like we said, we would have gone whooped.
Yeah. The domestic series that we've done, it's given people a couple of years of experience of it.
So what did you remember from that? That first domestic series is obviously the first time really any of us had played organised indoor cricket or backyard cricket or whatever. And it was a good series. You were on my team. We won quite convincingly, and you did well. You were the top run scorer, settled in nicely. What do you remember from that series in terms of your own game, but also the game as a whole, and has everyone adapted to it? What did you make of it when we started?
I mean, it's going to sound really bad, but I actually enjoyed it more than normal cricket. I loved it, and I think, you know what, I think it was great because obviously, like, our cricket team. I know it wasn't like all of our cricket team. It's, you know, our cricket team on a weekend in the summer, and we had a few players that don't play for us as well. But, you know, before that, we never really saw each other in the winter, so it's kind of like we didn't see each other for like half a year.
It's a good bonding thing.
And this kind of sort of kept us together for like, and it helped us like in normal cricket as well grow as a team. And I think that it was, I think my impressions of it, everyone enjoyed it. You know?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember there being any complaints or anyone saying it wasn't for them. There were a few people who never came back after that first series, maybe decided it wasn't for them, and fair enough. But I don't remember any complaints or anger.
No.
I mean, yeah, good close games as well.
Yeah. I think, do you know what? I think especially I don't know if it's the first series or the second series, it might have been both actually to a degree, more the second series, but I think the year Dan was captain, even though we won 3-0, even though we'd won 3-0, like, you can look back at them games and go, there were points.
Yeah, the second series.
Yeah, there were points where it was so easily, they had the foot on the game and they let it slip. And they should have won that series.
I think that series we played 4 games. Well, I think we won 3-0 and drew the other one. And even the one we drew, there was only going to be one winner, and that was us.
Yeah.
But all of them, it turned on the third innings, didn't it?
Yeah.
The first 2 innings were really even, and we just took over at the end. But going back to the first series, you were involved in some big moments in that series. So you made runs in the first game. I think you got 50 odd to save a draw. You were there at the end in all 3 tests. You won the save a draw in the first game with 50 odd.
Yeah.
Second game, I'm going to have to say, I think still maybe the best innings we've ever had in backyard cricket from James Crowther, where he comes in as last man standing. I think he needed 104 to win, and it's such a shame that the cameras, we had issues and we couldn't film that game. He needed 104, got it down to needing 4 to win on his own, and then you got him out. And then the last test, again, it's you and Crowther. He's batting for like an hour on his own, saving the draw. About 5 minutes to go, a couple of overs left, you got him out again. Yeah. So all 3 tests, you were there at the end, and it becomes immediately obvious then that you were somebody who was really enjoying the big moments in these games.
Yeah, no, it was nice to be a part of. Like, obviously, like, in them situations, it's like, you know, when there's situations like that, like, you're just dying to get on. I know you can only bowl at 1 over every 10 overs, like rotation, but it's like, you're sitting there in the field and you're just eager to come on and just want to try and make a difference.
Well, I remember one of my takeaways being from the captain in that series, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember it, is that last game where Crowther was batting for the draw. We got to the end of the bowling rotation, and I was going to bring you on first, and then Rob Maguire for the last rotation. We had about 10 minutes left, and I was going to bring you on, and you actually told me not to, because you said you wanted to bowl the last over before the time runs out.
I remember that.
Yeah, you did. You said it to me. Yeah, you did. Because I remember I was keeping, and you were at slip, and I said to you, when this over ends and we've got a new rotation, you're going to come on first, and you went, no, I'll take the last over. I want to be there at the end.
Was that the one? Was that the one where they were batting for the draw?
Yeah,
yeah.
the last game.
I vaguely remember.
Yeah, you were standing at slip, and I always found that really fascinating because I thought there's such a great attitude. Like, you know, you don't want to come on and get your over out of the way early. You actually said to me, no, I want to bowl last. I want to be at the end.
So my fault.
And you delivered. You got him out.
Yeah, and my fault with that is because Crowd was so intelligent. Like, he's not necessarily the most gifted batsman, but he's got the best brain, cricket brain. He's actually intelligent in general, really. He's a very intelligent
he's a smart man.
But cricket-wise, he's so intelligent, and you can see for someone that's never played backyard cricket, straight away he got the rotation. I'm gonna wait for the lesser bowlers to come on, and I'm gonna fucking take 20 off them, and I'm just gonna block Ricky and Rob, see them out, and then get another 20. And that's how he got to sit. And my thought process of that was, you don't want to get to a situation where you've got, in the last 10 minutes you've got the lesser bowlers on. You want to build the most pressure with the best bowlers on.
Yeah, like I say, I changed my decision on the back of giving you a chance to bat your mouth up, because I was going to bowl you first and bring Rob on at the end.
Yeah, and also I remember you fighting over me with putting one more slip in.
Yeah, and then he got caught in a slip.
And then Foxy caught him.
But I'll give it, as a captain, if a player is bold enough to ask for something they want, I am willing to back them and give them what they want. So I didn't want you to have that slip in, but you wanted it, so I was like, all right, if he wants it, he can have it.
I am greedy.
And then it went straight down his front, didn't it? So
I am greedy with them, but I just think, with the swinging ball, if you can get it in the right area, which, 8 times, 9 times out of 10 I can, it's very hard in that game for any batsman. I mean, if Rob gets in the right area, or Alvin does, it's very hard. Even if someone like a medium sort of bowler gets in the right area, the swinging ball is difficult to hit it for four.
It is. It's a bowler's game,
and it's a risky shot. So I'm thinking, put the slips in. I almost say to the batsman, go and hit me for four. There's no fielder that side. There's one fielder that side. There's slips in. Go and hit me. See what you can do. And to be fair, it's paid off more than it hasn't. So.
And how did you find the transition then? Because obviously we come from that series and we've won. You move into the second series, and I think out of the 3 domestic series we've done, I think the second one was by far the highest quality. And although, like we said, the score line looks a bit one-sided because we won easily, but all the games were close.
Yeah.
I thought it was the best standard we've had. And your game, you were the top run scorer in that series as well, player of the year. How did you find that transition from first to second year? Because obviously the first season's all about learning. None of us have played it before. We're learning who we are as players. You're not going to be the same player in this you are in club cricket.
It was definitely.
How was it to actually establish who you are, and then what changes did you make in that series when you started to figure out what kind of player you were?
So I think that series was definitely the most professional we've done. I think that was sort of like as far as you can take it, what we had. Until we get our own pitch. I think
that as well as we could.
That was as far as because you can only get to a point where. It's hard to get 20 players to come to an indoor tennis centre, and I think the quality of that was
very high. And I personally think we've had series where the games have been 6-a-side, 7-a-side, even 5-a-side when we've been short. I think the 10-a-side is so much better for this form. I enjoy that a lot more.
Yeah,
I think it gives, as a captain, it gives you so much more opportunity. When you've only got 5 players, you've got a bowler and a keeper, you've only got 3 fielders. There's not a lot you can do in terms of changing the game or being inventive or doing bowling changing with. The 10-a-side gives you so much option and variety.
Yeah, no, it's good. And as well, it's kind of like, it almost gives more for example, like you say it's a bowler's game, and it kind of gives you more of a break from the good bowlers.
Yeah.
So it gives everyone a bit
gives you more of a mix.
And it kind of like,
if you've only got 5-a-side and 4 of the bowlers are Rob, Dan, Jake, Yusuf, say, or Alvin, it's a tough.
Yeah.
Actually, you're in for a tough spell.
Whereas in tennis side, you're going to have 3 really good bowlers in each team, and you kind of just got to try and battle. And it does mean, anyone, it doesn't matter how good you are, if you put your mind to it, you can battle your way through them 3 overs,
100%.
and you can get reward from it. So, it was a great series. Even though I'm happy we won it, obviously, because I prefer to win, obviously. It would have been nice for.
It would have been nice to have a series that was close in terms of results, rather than just in terms of games, because all the games were close, but we kind of whitewashed it.
Yeah, and as I said, like there was a couple of the tests where they could have easily won it.
There was a couple they should have won.
They should,
including the first game, where I think you actually played not your highest innings, but I think your best innings in backyard cricket, which was at Bromley, when we were about 70 for 7 in the second innings and leading by not many.
Didn't have much choice, did I? Run 2 of our players out.
You did, yeah. I wasn't going to bring that up, but you did. You barbecued a couple. Yeah.
To be fair,
you did play, I think, your best innings that day, and they should have won that game.
Yeah, I still to this day don't think it was my fault. But
one of them definitely was. I can't remember who was it. Was it Elliot and Rob?
So Foxy.
One of them was your fault. I can't remember which one.
No, so Foxy's one was a bit different. I mean, me and him were sort of, we were both got to the middle. We went, no. So it's kind of both of our faults, to be fair. The Rob one, everyone said it's my fault.
Was that the one?
I promise you, yeah.
Was that the one where it was Alvin?
Yeah, it was such a good throw from Alvin.
Oh, he's class.
And no one sticks up for me on this. Which doesn't necessarily make a change.
You have to accept nobody is going to stick up for you.
No, but the problem is, if you look back at it, when I hit it, if Rob just goes and he doesn't look over his shoulder to Alvin,
ball watching.
Yeah, he was out. I promise you. If anyone goes back on the video, he was out by that much. Yeah, that much. Yeah, he gets in. I promise you. If he just goes, he gets in. It's not necessary. I'm not saying it was a good run.
I love how we're 2 years down the line and you've still got all of this locked and ready to go.
You've got to when people go.
You've been sitting on these complaints for a while, haven't you?
It was. Listen, hitting it straight to Alvin and running is not necessarily a smart move. That I hold my hands up to. But my point I'm trying to make is that if he'd have just gone on my call, he would have made it.
Well, I mean, obviously, in the end, you justified it because
Yeah.
you scored a 50 in every test in that series,
Yeah.
and player of the series, and we won easily. But it was after that series that the real work for Australia started to happen. Once
Yeah.
the pandemic had eased off a little bit. Let's just talk a little bit because I think people in our own team even don't realise the extent of the volume of hours and time and money that has gone into this.
Yeah.
I mean, where do we even start discussing that? The first thing I'll say is I did a calculation, and I'll put this on the table. By the time we get on the plane, my estimation, the calculation is that this trip between all of us that are going and everything that's happened, this trip would have cost us in the region of £25,000.
Is
my
it?
calculation? Yeah.
Is that including spending money or?
No, even if you take into account the flights, the accommodation, all the equipment, the kit, all the domestic series and the running thereof, because that's all been a part of this series.
Yeah.
You know, the kits for the domestic, the venues that we've had, training facilities, everything that we've done, all these minor things that have come into it over the last 3 years. We'll have spent 25 grand
Yeah.
by the time we go out there, and that's before you even put spend the money for 10 people.
Yeah.
Sydney's quite expensive.
I mean, to be honest, like I've got to say, like obviously, me and you have done a lot of it, all of it, and we do deserve credit for that. But you've got to give credit to all the other players as well.
100%.
Because
100%.
you know you've got to you've got to consider obviously people have put a lot of money for the flights and accommodation.
Yeah.
You know, if anyone looks up a flight to Australia from London, they're not cheap.
Well, for me, I would say it's not even the money that people have spent, it's the money they haven't spent that's the key. Like, people have not been able to really indulge in Christmas presents for their families because of this trip, haven't been able to go on holiday with partners or children or families, whatever. Can't go down a pub with your mates as often or get drunk. You can't make sacrifices, can't go and see this football game or whatever it might be.
And also another
It's
thing,
the money they haven't been spending, the discipline.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players. Obviously, a lot of our players have taken 3 weeks off work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players like yourself who only get, for example, 4 weeks holiday. You know.
Well, there's people even more than that. People who have their own businesses, self-employed people that aren't even getting paid.
Not getting
when
paid.
we're out.
I think I'm taking unpaid leave for 1 week because I run out of
I
holiday.
think it's Jake. I think Guppy is maybe unpaid while we're out
Yeah,
there as
yeah.
well, is he? And Sam, maybe Sam. But
No, I don't know about Sam.
I'm not sure, but there's a few people that go there unpaid.
Either way, the point I'm making is, you know, even though we've probably made the biggest sacrifices, everyone's made such sacrifice, and you know, without all of them, we wouldn't have this. So it's you know, for us to do what we have done, we've needed the players to say yes.
To the extent to have 10 people who are all interested in cricket, all interested in backyard cricket, all good players. We're not taking any
We've
duds.
got no non-cricketers.
Yeah, we've got no duds. All to be off work for 3 weeks at the same time and be able to afford all of this.
Yeah.
To have the family life that will allow them to go and do it all at the same time. I would argue that whether we win the Urn or win the World Cup, or if we lose every game, doesn't matter. The biggest achievement of the whole lot will be just being there. Just getting on that plane is the most significant thing we'll do on this trip.
No,
And if we win, it's fantastic. But just getting there has been some effort.
I mean, make no mistake, we're not going halfway around the world to lose. And
No, absolutely not. But,
if the Aussies do think
you can't win without going.
Yeah.
And going there has been harder than winning will probably be.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just
No.
I mean, let's go into that. Let's give everyone an idea then. I don't know where we'll start with this, but let's just talk about everything that has gone into it. I mean, where do we even start? Let's start with the players. We've got 10 people coming. How many players have actually agreed to come and committed to come over the 4 years? I reckon we're close to 20. Because so many players have pulled out.
I'll say it's sort of 16, I would say.
Yeah, but we've had a lot of people who
we
were
had,
going to come and then
we had 3
and
players
then-
pull out after the pandemic one.
Yeah,
flight.
and then obviously players pulling out as early as this year, January.
Yeah.
Before, 2 months before we booked the flight we had. And then we booked the flight and had to pull out after we booked the flight as well. And had to fill that space at the last minute. I won't say who that was, but
And that
he
was,
knows.
That was difficult. I mean, to be fair, he's he had a really bad injury.
Yeah, which is
not ideal. You know, he was good about it.
But it's another thing that comes into it. You know, we book the flights, and a week later there's a serious injury.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do?
Yeah.
And we managed to fill that spot, which is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just talk about that before we even move into any of the other prep. That's been more you. Obviously, we've split the responsibility on this. The player recruitment, I've done scraps of it, but that's more been you. What does that entail? What has it been like, and how much work does it take to get 10 people into a trip like this?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's at one point it was literally work, backyard ashes, sleep, work, backyard ashes, sleep. Honestly, I mean,
that feeling.
I can't even. I mean, you only you will know the feeling. I mean, it's so because
It's,
you
like
know,
I say, it's become a full-time job in and of itself.
I mean, you know, me and you have organised charity football tournaments. We've organised cricket tours in the UK.
trying to get people to travel 20 minutes for that is a bit easier.
Yeah, this is the biggest thing we've ever done, and I'll tell you what, it shows because it has taken over our life, and you know, it's going to be worth it. There's no doubt about that.
100%, every second of it, whether we win or lose.
Yeah, it will be
100%.
worth it, but it has been hard work. Yeah.
I mean, so the play, that's just one thing. The players, obviously the venues, we've had to find venues for every domestic test and all this training venues and facilities. The kit was really difficult, but we've had one major boost, and I know you wanted to bring this up, and I do as well. We have a debt of gratitude that we must hand to Telsa Media.
Yes.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so obviously there was a lot of our players that sort of did say, you know, if this was a few £100 more expensive, they'd have had to pull out. They'd have said it's just too much. And basically, we had no kit sponsor for the so we'd have had to fund the kit ourselves, which would have been, you know, it's a lot of money for kit. It's not cheap. And I think I sent around 120 emails to different companies. And one
That's the things that people don't see. This is what we're talking about. When we say people don't realise the work that goes into it, people see that we've got a sponsor and they assume you've just phoned them up, do you want to sponsor us? Yes, magic. What they don't see is the hundreds of emails that go out to all these companies, and then when Telsa Media come back, it's not a straightforward handshake and done. There's back and forward.
And that's understandable. Because
and that's not a criticism of them in any way, shape or form. That's just how it is.
It's understandable because obviously they don't know who we are.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we're saying, can you give us, you know, kit, and they're like, okay, well, what's in it for us? And you've got to try and sell it to them, you know. And to be fair, you know, obviously I've been dealing with Jason from Telsa Media.
Yeah, so Jason is the founder and managing director of Telsa Media, and our main liaison with them, and we owe him the biggest thank you in the world.
He has been unbelievable, and for a guy to get an email, some random guy, i.e. myself.
Yeah, it is worth saying this is not a contact that we already knew of who's doing us a favour. He'd never met us, we didn't know him. You know, I didn't know Jason didn't know me, and for him to see an email, and I sold it to him like I sold it to all our players. You know, it is good. You know, it gets a lot of traction, but for someone to help someone out that doesn't even know anyone, it's just, you know, and of course, you know, we're going to do our absolute best to spread his company as far as we can, and we'll do that. But for someone to not know someone and generously say, yeah, we'll help you out, you know, I can't say how. And it's not just the fact that he's agreed to help us out. Throughout the process, it's been quite a long process dealing with it. He's been nothing but gold the whole way through.
He you know, he's been great to work with, and even on phone calls. You know, obviously I know he's probably a very busy guy. Yeah, he probably is, and you know, to have me phone him and email is probably annoying. But you know, he's been fantastic. Like we owe him such gratitude, and you know, there's a likelihood actually without him, this series doesn't happen, because with the kit we'd have had to buy the kit.
I mean, even if it did, you could say the series happens, but we might be missing a player or two that's coming.
Yeah. So he honestly, a massive shout out to Telsa Media and Jason. They've been unbelievable, and we hope that you know, I think once the series, you know, obviously the Aussies are we've got a broader audience than us. We've still got a fairly broad audience, but you know, once the series gets underway and we can get, you know, sort of
I think the benefit for Jason and Telsa Media will very much come after the series rather than before it. Because they've got a bigger following.
But I really do hope that they do benefit it because they deserve it, because they've been so generous.
100%.
And you know, not everyone in this world is so generous, and I think when it does happen, it needs to be called out.
I think it helps that he was a cricket fan anyway.
Of course.
That was obviously a big boost. He was already a cricket fan. But while we're sticking on the subject of prep, I mean, when we say nothing has been straightforward, nothing, even to the extent of just, we had all the money for the flights, we finally got everyone's money together and got a team together. Even booking the flights wasn't straightforward, was it?
God, yeah.
Even that was a battle.
I'll tell you what, that week we had, it was the most.
That was, I think, possibly the most stressful time of all of it.
I don't think I slept that week. You know, having thousands of pounds of your mate's money on the line.
Yeah.
You know, I won't mention what happened. I won't.
Yeah, we're not going to go too much for the sake of the airline who might not be happy with us. We won't go too much into that. But it was different.
It wasn't even the airline, but it was a different company. But they.
Yeah, it was booking. Was it a booking agent?
Yeah, they messed around, and I mean, it's probably nothing to go into it, but it was stressful, and I definitely didn't sleep well that week. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not even the first time. I mean, there are still 2 of the players that were on our original trip in 2020 still haven't received their refund from their flights because the airline collapsed, and they're all waiting. 2 of our players are still waiting. Again, I'm not going to say what airline that was. But the airline collapsed and they're waiting on a government bailout, and 3 years down the line, 2 of our players have not received a refund for that yet.
Yeah, so they booked separate, didn't they? Because they wanted to
just
travel.
as an example of all the things that
they wanted to travel after Australia. They wanted before the pandemic. They wanted to travel somewhere, another country, and they sort of said we'll book our own flights, and then it all went wrong. But anyway, they booked with us this time, so we're going together, and it's fine. So and all the flights are sorted. So that's
let's obviously we could martyr ourselves forever talking about how much work we've done and all the hours we've put in. But let's move on to more positive things, which is that it is booked.
Yes.
It is booked. The flights are there. We're leaving in October, not too far away from it. At the time we're filming this, it's about 2 months. We've got the accommodation. We're staying in Harris Street, which I think is in a place called, is it Pymont that we're in?
Yes.
Yeah, which obviously we don't know too much about, but I'm sure it's going to be a lovely, lovely experience. So let's talk about what everyone here is waiting for us to get to.
Yeah.
Which is the Ashes.
Yeah.
The Ashes. The first ever backyard international Ashes series. I mean, let's start by asking a simple but maybe complicated question. How do you feel about it?
So, as you mentioned, before we were meant to go before the pandemic, I do think that we probably would have got battered.
Yeah, we got stuffed.
I think the squad we've got is definitely good enough to win.
Oh yeah.
I definitely think the pressure's on the Aussies. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think massively.
Yeah.
I don't think even they would argue with that.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I think I don't
we're
know.
basically on a free hit because it's their venue, their weather, their crowd, their game as well. They've done it a lot longer than us. Everything is stacked in their favour. We know we're the underdogs. So the pressure is all on them, but we're kind of relishing that a little bit, aren't we? We're kind of enjoying that.
Yeah, we've got 10 guys that do want to win. We've got 10 players that we've been training for a couple of weeks now, or a few weeks now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And we've been impressed with what we've seen in training.
Very much so.
We've been preparing so much. We've been training on proper pitches to get used to the actual proper cricket pitch, which is
I mean, the only thing, there's nothing we can do about it. The only thing we haven't been able to do is acclimatise and practice for the weather.
Yeah.
Because we just don't get. I mean, it's a Saturday morning in the middle of August and it is raining outside now. So it's been a bad. That's not helped us, has it? The fact that it has been, for those who aren't living in the UK that are watching this may not realise, it's been a bad summer. In the UK, it's been a lot of rain. We haven't had much sun, which has made outdoor practice difficult. But we've worked with what we've had.
Yeah, we've had indoor venues and stuff and indoor nets.
How are you feeling about the group as a whole? You mentioned you think it's good, and we've got the team that can win. What have you made of the training sessions, the attitude towards it, the application? Where do you think our team is at now, and where do you want it to be in a couple of months' time when we leave?
So the attitude of the team has been unbelievably good. Like, I think the sort of the camaraderie between the teams been amazing as well.
Gelled really nice.
Yeah, gelled really nicely.
Really
Obviously,
nice.
not everyone knew each other at the start.
Yeah.
It's not just for example our cricket team. There's a few people from the cricket team. There's a few people that play for other cricket teams. But we've all gelled as a team. We all get along. We had
some of us had a drink last night.
Yeah, that was last night,
which was great. Yeah, we're gelling great as a team. Everyone is enjoying each other's company. And yeah, in terms of cricket, I'm really happy with the team, honestly. And the training sessions have been really positive. I feel like we've been getting stronger every training session as well.
I feel that as well. The standard at the last training we did, I thought was very high. Where do you want it to be? Because obviously we've still got plenty more training to do before we go. This is not done and dust, like I say, we've still got months before we go. Where do you want the team to be? I don't want to give anything tactical away, but just as a general thing, as captain, where do you want to see from your team by the time we get on that plane? When you look around your team on that plane, what do you want to see?
So I think there's individual things that individuals need to do, which I think, to be fair to them, everyone knows what they need to do.
Yeah, and obviously we don't want to give too much away about it.
Everyone knows what they need to do in terms of their weak points and stuff, which they are working on, which is great, because I think the more of an all-rounder you can be in this format of the game, the better. And I think everyone's working on that. And I don't think everyone's attitude. We haven't had to really kick anyone up the arse.
No, we have not had a disciplinary issue or a laziness issue or a problem with anybody.
Everyone is bang on it.
Yeah.
And it's been that's been one of the easy bits, to be honest. Everyone's been in the training sessions. And I just think the one thing I would say that I'm trying to drill into people, having watched the channel for ages, is it's going to be hard in their weather, on their pitch, the atmosphere.
Yeah, because we know these are things we can't do anything about.
Yeah.
We know that's why we're the underdogs in the series. So going into that series then, we'll talk about the actual series itself, which we're so excited about. Let's address a little elephant in the room to start with then, and I haven't really heard you speak about this publicly yet, so we're going to sort of ask you about this. You're going in as captain.
Yeah.
Now, obviously the one question people at home might have who don't know us and haven't seen maybe us in action up close might wonder why. 3 domestic series, you were captain the sum total of 0 test matches.
Yeah.
Captain for the Ashes. Why did you not want to captain the domestic series? Do you think that's any kind of concern that you're going into it without any leadership experience? And what kind of leader do you think you're going to be able to be without that experience behind you?
So I would consider myself as the most experienced on the basis that I've been watching every single one of their videos for the last 4 years. The reason I didn't choose to go, obviously you know this, but the reason I chose not to captain in the domestic series is the organising.
It ties into what we were talking about, the amount of work that's been done.
The organising of, because even though we are planning to start our own channel properly, what we've been doing has been kind of a bit of a training session.
It's been a setup.
For this.
Yeah.
And
we know that, we're realistic about it.
Yeah, and obviously as I knew that I organised it, obviously I'm going, I felt my job was to, as someone that's watched their channel the most, that's more familiar with their channel, my job I felt was, when I was organising it, the last thing I wanted to be doing is thinking about where I'm putting my field in a game, in a domestic game. What I wanted to do is organise it, which was hard, and then on the day, sit back, relax, and have a look at everyone and go, who can I ask to come to Australia?
Who can we get?
That is exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be too busy worrying about, who I'm putting over there or who's bowling next. So that was the thing. I know you love captaining as well, so I put you as a captain.
And I think, to be fair, it helps in that way. The fact that I was captaining basically means, because we've basically done this trip as a partnership, when we go out there anyway, you may not have captained the domestic series, but you'll have me there who has.
Yeah.
And obviously you have all the wealth of knowledge of the WCG and everything going on out there, so it will work pretty much fine.
Yeah, and I would consider myself like a leader anyway. I think I'm not. I'm very confident in what we're doing. We've got certain plans and stuff.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing. I have no issues with not captaining. I've captained.
And the ideal thing you've got is not just myself, including me. You have 3 players in your squad who have got test experience captaining with Yusuf and Crowther.
Yeah.
So
and Jimmy captained one.
And Jimmy's done one as well. Yeah. So we've got 4 other players who have captained sides and have the match experience that maybe you haven't got.
Yeah.
So you've got the experience to lean on, and
and
we are a team that's not a dictatorship. It's not just whatever me and you say is going to happen.
Oh, of course,
everyone's got their say.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be a team effort, and we're going to have, we want 10 captains out there. The reality is to answer your original question about, am I worried? Absolutely not. there was a reason why we done it.
Yeah.
I've captained teams before. It's not new to me.
Looking back on that, would you change that? Would you have done 1 or 2 tests just to get a feel for it, or you're happy that we've done it the right way?
No, I'm absolutely fine with that. I don't feel like I need. I haven't got a lack of.
Because it's worth mentioning as well, you are not an inexperienced captain overall. You've done a lot of club captaincy, so it's not new to you entirely.
Yeah, and I think people, as much as people don't want to say it publicly, I think people do see me as a leader. So
yeah, I'll be interested to see what reaction you get from some of our players that aren't coming.
They wouldn't say that publicly, but I think in their heads they know that.
I can already think of a few people who aren't coming on this trip that would have just perked up when they heard that a little bit. But.
No, I think look, as you said, I've captained loads of club games. It's not unfamiliar to me. I think it's healthy that the most experienced person who's watched their channel the most is the captain.
And as the organiser, I think quite frankly, the amount of work you've put into this, if you want to be captain, you can find
but to be honest, honestly, if I felt there was someone that would be better for it, I'd have happily given it to them. No problem.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone in the team was
worried
about it.
And the way, obviously with the rotating players on and off the pitch, it's not just going to be me. It's going to be you're going to be captain.
So the thing is, we will have on-field captains.
There might be a moment where me and you are off pitch, and Yusuf or Jimmy would have to step up, or Browver. So this isn't about necessarily.
We are really working to create an autonomous team that can look after itself.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about one person being in charge. It's about a whole team.
Self-sufficiency.
Yeah,
essentially.
It will be. Yeah. I mean, ideally, I want to get ourselves into a position with the plans that we have, where me and you can have a rest off the pitch, and they will know what they're doing. And do you know what? We've got so many brains in the team, cricket brains. That actually, it will be fine. Honestly, I have no issue with it.
And where do you think we are in terms of winning the series then? Obviously, are we still saying Australia are favourites going into this? If we start at 50-50, where are we at the minute in terms of how likely are we to win this series, do you think?
So I wouldn't say they're favourites. I'd say the pressure's on them. I would say...
Are they not favourites even with the home advantage, the experience, the crowd?
So if you ask me who's got the better team, it's us.
I would agree with
my
that,
opinion.
But obviously they've got the counterbalance.
Yes, they've got their pitch, their weather. They've got obviously people that are going to be watching, that are obviously going to be supporting them. Obviously we've got the jet lag issue, which isn't going to be easy because we're playing. I think the first game we're playing 3 days after we land.
Yeah, we land on the Tuesday morning and we're playing on the Friday.
Yeah, so
that will be quite a tight turnaround.
That's going to be tight.
Unfortunately, again, when we said about issues with flights and organisation things, we couldn't get the flight we wanted that landed on the weekend. It was another thing that went wrong.
Yeah.
So we are landed a bit later than we wanted to.
Yeah, so we've got sort of a 3-day turnover and we've got a fit training session into that in Sydney. So I'd say like little things like that, it sort of goes into their favour. But in terms of talent-wise, I wouldn't change any of our players for theirs.
No, definitely not. But we will ask the question then. We'll move on to, obviously that's the series. We're not going to dive too much into the World Cup because we can maybe do that at a separate time and we don't really know how that's not been ironed out yet, the itinerary. So we'll stick with the Ashes. In your sort of view as the one who's been watching the most at the WCG and knows them best, who has impressed you? Who are you looking forward to playing against? Who do you think they will select? We're not, obviously they haven't done their selection, we're not going to tread on their toes with that, but just tell us a little bit about any Aussie players that have impressed you, anyone you're looking forward to playing against.
So we spoke about before the pandemic that we had a weaker team. I think they've also improved since the pandemic.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
They've had some new players.
Obviously they never sent us a squad, so we don't know who they had the first time. But they've had new players come in since then.
I'll have had an idea of
they've had new players come in since then who I think have made them stronger.
Yeah, so they've definitely improved as well. They've got a stronger team now. So I think that a lot of them, there's some impressive...
I mean, let's start with the big two names. Obviously, with us, we've been the lead organisers from this end. The lead from that end has been Matt White, who obviously whose house it is, and Brendan Scott, who we think is going to captain them, and has been the sort of main liaison for us. Let's start with Brendan. What do you make of him as a player?
He's a good player. I don't think he needs any more confidence. I think he's got enough confidence as it is. So I won't go too into. I mean, look, he's a good player. Me and Brendan have been talking for 4 years about organising this.
He's been our main contact, and we do have to For all the lip he's given us at times, I think we should say a massive thank you to Brendan, because he has been the biggest contact with us, and he's been fantastic.
Yeah, he's been great. Like, you know, with everything that, you know, we've needed, he's sort of said, yeah, we can do that, we can do that. And yeah, no, he's been great. Personally, as a player, obviously, you know, he's probably their best player.
Yeah, best batsman. It's been a couple of lean years for him.
Yeah.
Though. Obviously, we're hoping he doesn't find his best again in this series, but it's been a couple of lean years.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's been a little bit under par last couple of seasons, which has been great to watch because, you know, we don't want him peaking when we're there. But
I would argue he already peaked, and I would argue he peaked with his performance on Breakfast TV.
Oh, when he got out first ball.
When he nicked off first ball, it was fantastic, wasn't it?
It was great telling. I mean, it was
great viewing.
I was in stitches when.
Who was it? Matt White bowling when he done that? Yeah, and he nicked off first ball. If you're watching Brendan, we all thoroughly enjoyed it at this end of the pond. It was brilliant.
It was great. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, no, he's a good player. Look, yeah, he's going to be one of the main ones we need to get out quickly.
Statistically, I think he's been far and away the best batsman they've had there over the years.
Yeah, I mean we've got to get him out quickly. We don't want to let him settle.
Yeah, we want to put pressure on him.
Yeah, so yeah, but we've got the tools to get him out.
And then obviously you've got Matt White, who's a different kettle of fish. He's more of a bowler. Yeah. He can bat, and obviously he's got the record international score as it stands. I know a few people on both teams have had their eye on that coming into this Ashes.
Yeah,
but he's more of a bowler. I would argue the best bowler the WCG has seen, I would say, so far, for a couple of months. But yeah, I mean, and we don't know, the thing is, we don't know a lot about them outside of backyard cricket. We don't know if any of them play club cricket, to what standard they play, how long they've been playing. We know nothing about their cricket outside of the WCG, but I have heard he was once a good player. I think he's played like grade cricket or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I've heard them say that on one of their podcasts. He was a high level player, but I think he's obviously a bit older now.
Yeah, I don't think. Again, you know, he's a good bowler.
Their quickest bowler.
Yeah, he's their quickest bowler. He's one of their better bowlers. Again, he can only bowl one over in a 10 over rotation, so it doesn't bother me as much as it would in a.
Yeah, if we were playing a proper club game and he could bowl a spell, it might be more challenging. But obviously, one over at a time.
But I don't think. Look, as I said, we'll be prepared. You know, our players aren't going to go into it blind. They know who they are.
Yeah. Our players are aware of what we think of their players.
And in terms of his batting, well, you know, other than that 91, I haven't seen him hit a score since. So
yeah, that's the thing. He got that 91 against New Zealand, and he looked good. But when we say Brendan's had a lean couple of years, I apologise to Matt if I'm misremembering here, but I don't remember him getting much of a score since then.
No.
I can't remember him having done much with a bat. But he's a good player, and that doesn't mean we write him off. He'll be dangerous.
No, he'll be another player that, you know, obviously the Kiwis got Brendan out cheaply in the Test match, I remember. And then obviously he got that 91, which was really important to bury the game. So
how are we feeling about breaking that record?
What, 91?
91. Highest international backyard score at the WCG, Matt White 91. How are we feeling about taking that?
I'd be shocked.
I'd be amazed if someone on either side didn't take that in this series. I think there'll be a century in this series. I'd be surprised if that was still the highest.
There's 5 or 6 people in our team that could get a century.
Yeah, and a couple in theirs as well. One of which being Joel Wodgick, who's got one. What did you make of that innings? Obviously, we've watched that. He's got the record score at the WCG overall.
Yeah, I mean, he's a player that came after the pandemic, so he wouldn't have played before if we went before. No, he's a good player. He's one of their newish players. Good player. I would argue, you know, you can't take away a century of anyone.
No, 100%. Yeah. But I would say, having watched that,
he's going to be facing better bowlers.
Yeah, I would say with that, I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful to the team he was playing against, but I would say with that, he batted brilliantly. You can only beat what's put in front of you, but we will not be quite so generous as the team he was playing that day. You won't get the gifts off us that you offer them. And I'm just trying to think other players. I mean, what kind of attitude do you reckon they'll take into this series? Do we see them going all out pace, or do you think bowling will play? They've got a spinner, Josh Bolly. Do you think he features, or do you think they'll be going on a pace attack?
No, I think I'm pretty certain he's going to play.
Do you think he'll play the whole series?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure. Maybe. I don't. I mean, they haven't got another spinner from what I can remember. So I think so. I mean, to be honest, as I said, we've got a list of players who we think they're going to play, and we've got plans for all of them. Hopefully they'll come off. We don't know, obviously. You know, a plan's great until it doesn't come off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got plans for everyone. We've got sort of a roster of sort of 18 that we reckon will play.
Throughout the
16 to 18 people
yeah.
will play throughout, you know, because obviously the test match is only 6 points, so obviously we need to think further than the test matches.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We have to be wary of going all out for the test because that's only one game out of 6 in this. Actually.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's look at our squad. We'll move to that, and we're just going to chat about our squad individually and just sort of tell us a little bit about how we got them in and what we make of them as players and what we're expecting from them. So we'll do this in the order that they were announced. So the first 2 were announced, me and you.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to dive too much into us, but if you could sum up your own game in one sentence for people who don't know you or haven't seen you, how would you sum up your game in one sentence?
I'll say I'm an aggressive player, batting and bowling. I think I pick my moments because I know obviously in this game it's different. You can be patient and wait for the people you want to target when you're batting. So I'd say naturally all round an aggressive player, aggressive captain, aggressive batsman, aggressive bowler. But yeah.
So aggression is going to be the key for you
It will
when
be,
we're
yeah.
out.
I think it's almost like kind of like an Aussie style Englishman, I guess, the way I play cricket.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I would say, obviously, we don't need to talk about myself too much. If I could sum up myself in a sentence, I would just say probably the best batsman since Bradman. I would say, on balance.
Well, do you know what? To be honest, I was thinking about this, and I still don't know the way of putting this. I've thought about it. And
this isn't going to be good.
There's 2 players that stick out to me that you always want on your team. Not necessarily because they're good or they're bad, just because they're good brains to have in the team. And one of them's you for a cricket brain, and the other one's Crowder just for a natural brain.
Yeah, Crowder's a clever
And
player.
it's just, you get some people that if they're on your team, you know you're going to be in with half a chance.
Just like a sense of reassurance.
Yeah, and you're definitely one of them. And your batting in particular, and your bowling's come on, but your batting since when we've started has come on unbelievably. And again, it's that cricket and brain, I think, to
do you know what it
manoeuvre
is?
yourself.
Yeah, I made a change halfway
Yeah.
through, and my record is very much like a game of 2 halves. If you look at my first 10 innings, I played 20 innings in backyard cricket. The first 10 innings that I played, I averaged 6. The second 10 innings is 77.
Exactly.
So you kind of figure out the problem
And
fix
it takes a lot
Yeah.
for a player to figure out himself.
and
fix
found a
the
problem,
problem.
fix it, and
Yeah.
then
And now you're definitely going to be a key player. And
bowling needs some work still, but
I
hopefully
think
get a bit of bounce.
But we've got loads of training sessions, and I don't think
Yeah.
your bowling's very far off. I think it's just about getting it in the right area. You've got your pace.
Just consistency. isn't
Yeah.
it?
And that will come with the rest of the training sessions that we have, I'm sure.
And the next player we announced was the slicer, the man himself, Jake Butler. And he's been one of the only players who's been in right from the beginning. The last 4 years, he's been an absolute shit-in. I mean, where do we even start with this guy?
We'll start with his
Let's start with him on the pitch first. We're not going to talk about his batting because there isn't any.
Yeah.
His bowling. How would you describe his bowling? Because it's quite mercurial.
I mean, so Jake's the reason why I'm half hungover today.
And that's going to be a theme of the holiday, I feel like. As well.
So with Jake, so obviously we haven't got many specialist batsmen or bowlers because this is kind of an all-rounder game.
Yeah.
But I would say Jake is one of the 2 specialist bowlers that we have, and he is going to be a big weapon for us out there. I don't think they have a bowler that naturally swings the ball. I mean, I know they've got half.
Well, I would say I don't think they have a bowler. I don't think we have a bowler. I don't think there is a bowler. Even Matt White, even Rob Maguire, Alvin Safia, there isn't a bowler who can bowl a better individual delivery than Jake can.
Yeah.
He can bowl better balls than Rob or Matt White or anyone else. He just can't stitch it together over a spell. But when he hits that one ball, you're not playing. He's going to get anybody out.
If he can get it, I'll tell you what. If he can get it right in the Ashes, he could be a massissive player.
He's going to be. We're expecting good things from him. That's on the pitch. Off the pitch, I'm going to put it out there and say I can't remember who it was. I think it was Crowder who said the same thing on his podcast. He will be the Aussies' favourite.
Oh yeah.
I suspect.
Yeah,
he will be the one they love.
Yeah, he's like probably the closest to an Aussie.
He is an Aussie, really.
Yeah.
He's an Aussie without the accent. Isn't he? I mean, he's like the most laid-back dude in the world.
And he travelled to Australia years ago,
Yeah,
didn't
he's
he?
been there.
And he loves it, and people there love him. Yeah, he'll be fantastic. He loves to drink.
They are
Good
good
cricketer as well. He's a good cricketer. I don't think he sometimes realises how good he is.
I don't think he has any idea what he's capable of because he's not the most intense guy. He's very relaxed,
Yeah.
isn't he? And I think he's better like that.
Yeah. I think.
And he's so good in the dressing room as well. And I'd say having people like him on a trip like this, 3 weeks in the sunshine,
He's great to have.
people like him are just priceless in the dressing room
Yeah.
and in the hotel because he'll keep the spirits up the whole way
Yeah.
through.
Oh, he will. Yeah. He'll be fantastic. And you know, if he can get hold of the ball when he's batting as well, it's fun to watch as well.
Yeah, you get one innings every couple of years out of Jake, and it's the best innings you'll see. But it just, I mean,
He's actually
I
quite
don't
annoying
think,
to bowl
I
to.
don't think we're spoiling anything for the Aussies by just saying Jake will not be the top run scorer in this series. I don't think we're spoiling anything saying that. He is brilliant, and I love Jake, and the stories that will come out. Or when we come back from this tour and we're all sort of talking about all the stories and the memories, most of them will be from him.
Yeah.
Or at least something that he started.
Oh, it'd be great. He's great to have around. And
He's a different kind of guy.
He was the first one to say, "Yeah, I'm coming with you." Lot.
He was never going to say no.
Yeah, so
He was
obviously,
never
you know,
gonna
with people like that, and to be fair with Jake, I mean, even when we've done like cricket tours in the UK and stuff, normal cricket tours, he's always the first one to go, "Yeah, I'll come." And you know, he's
100%.
never one to flake out. He's fantastic.
Yeah,
He's easy to deal with. And it's going to be great to spend a few weeks with him. Play
it's
cricket
been
with him in
brilliant.
Australia. That's going to be great.
And then the next one we announced was James Maguire,
Yeah.
who we've spoken about a little bit already, the better Maguire, I think we can all agree. Just tell us a little bit about Jimmy. Obviously, he's a very different character to Jake, more of an intense kind of guy, but his bowling has improved over the last sort of 5 years. His bowling has gone from sort of there to there.
Yeah, well, especially in backyard or indoor, whatever you want to call it, our domestic series. He's definitely, last couple of years, he's definitely improved.
It's confidence.
And I think he's another one that he's relishing the challenge.
Very clever bowler.
Yeah.
And he's not outwardly, like, he's not clever in the sense that he's the one always on the field telling everyone else what to do or talking tactics and all this. But in his own mind, when he's bowling, he knows how to work people over.
Yeah. He's great to have around. Again, as well, Jimmy's easy to deal with.
Yeah, very low maintenance.
Very easy to deal with. If he says he's going to be somewhere, he'll be somewhere.
Yeah.
He is a great cricketer. He's improved so much, especially in the last couple
Do
of
you
years.
think he goes underrated a little bit because obviously he's the younger brother of Rob, who's a much more sort of explosive player, much more spectacular player? Do you think that kind of, if they weren't related, I think Jimmy would get more credit than he
Yeah, I think
does.
I think it does incredibly well.
Yeah.
Because I think it's. I mean, none of us obviously know how that feels. You know, to have an older brother, quick bowler, gets loads of
If
wickets.
they weren't related, we'd be talking about Jimmy a lot more than we do.
Well, I think
it just flies under the radar.
I think the mental strength even as well.
Yeah.
To just cut out that Rob's doing what he's doing and just does his own thing, and especially in the indoor cricket. Obviously, we can talk about normal cricket, but that's not that important at the moment. The backyard cricket element, he's improved the last season or two. I mean, last series he was so good.
Yeah, remarkable improvement.
yeah,
I got to admit, after we did the first series, I wasn't looking at him as someone we should be strongly going after for Australia unless we were short of players, because didn't think he was that impressive in the first series. Then we come back for the second series and his game was up there.
Yeah.
And then again the third series up again. He's just improving so
he's
quick.
definitely there on merit. There's no doubt.
100%, yeah, 100%.
And I think the Aussies will be surprised.
And he can be a nuisance with the bat as well. He's not a natural batsman, but he can be a pest.
Yeah.
And he tends to raise his game when it's more difficult.
Yeah, he
as
does.
well. He likes a big moment, Jimmy.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously excited to have him on.
Great to have Jimmy there. Another great guy.
And his career is a chef, so 3 meals.
Yeah, hopefully he's cooking for us.
That's why we really bought him, wasn't it?
I sort of said to him the other day, I said, "You cooking for us?" He went, "No."
He will though, He says no, but he will.
Hopefully he does.
He'll-
Do you know what? I haven't actually tried his food yet. So.
Oh, you weren't there when he cooked for everyone, were you? Yeah, he made a spag bowl for the whole team, and it was nice, to be fair. I think it was only Jake gave him some stick for it, but I thought it was good.
It's probably just winding him up, but
Yeah.
no.
You never quite know.
I'm looking forward to that meal, Jimmy. So yeah, it'll be great.
Several of, yeah.
So I won't be cooking. I'll tell you that.
I ain't cooking a damn thing. So that's the first two. Then obviously we've had me and you, Jake and Jimmy, and then the next one we announced was Crowber, who we've spoken about already, and we've said his big attribute is his attitude and his intelligence. Very, very smart guy. But I will touch on another aspect that I'm hugely impressed with Crowther, which is his work rate.
Oh yeah.
He is working as hard as anybody. He is relentless in his desire to improve. And since he's come into our club side 3 or 4 years ago, every season he's got better.
Yeah.
Every season. He's never had a bad year where he's done worse than the year before. He gets better all the time.
Yeah.
He is some character to have in the team.
Crowther, as I said before, you know, he's another one like yourself that, you know, he's just good to have around the team. Just awareness of everything. He's just so intelligent. Like for someone who to come in and just get the situation, like for example, batting for the draw, and or batting for the win and blocking the good players and taking advantage of the lesser bowlers. It just the intelligence of it is. It sounds simple, but in the moment, just being so calm.
I think he stunned everybody in that first series, because I think before that series he wasn't the player we were looking at as being like he's going to be one of the best players in this.
I found he was certainly the hardest to get out.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us expected that from him. I think we saw him in club cricket and thought, he's not going to be up to much.
Yeah.
But he just rose to it. I think he stunned everyone and he's carried on like that.
Yeah.
And his bowling started as a liability.
Yeah.
But he has worked and worked and worked to the point where we won't say too much, because we don't want to give too much away. But he is not the same bowler that you will see in some of the videos.
Yeah, he's worked so hard on his bowling, and I think it's that intelligence where he understands
And self-awareness.
He understands how he needs to work on it, because he doesn't want to be a liability. And for him to go to, and you know, he's sending us videos of going to the park on his own just bowling, and you know that takes real commitment. You know, to even after work or just going there and just bowling, and it's fantastic. And you know, he's another guy. You know, it's a privilege to go to Australia with him. You know,
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
100%. And even on the pitch for you, this will be relevant for you and maybe for myself during the series. And you'll know from club cricket, from dealing with it as well, a privilege to captain as well. He's such an easy person to captain, because he'll do any job you give him, even if he's never done it before. He'll give it his absolute all. And if you give that job to him more than once, he'll do better the second time.
Yeah.
And he'll do better the third time. He just has a brilliant way of doing
and
things.
he's one of the players as well that will invest in your ideas. So you'll come up with ideas and he will invest in them. He will go with them, you know. And if you know you want advice, he'll give you advice as well. He has got a good cricketing brain.
And another one whose character, like we said about Jake as well, really important to have that kind of guy, because we're all through the intelligence we speak about. He is another one who's a very cheerful, good sense of humour, very upbeat guy. Key on a 3-week trip.
Very down to earth guy.
Yeah, really good.
Like, it's fantastic, and I'm so glad, because he's the first one you've mentioned out of the list that wasn't coming originally.
So far, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously we met him, and as you said on his podcast.
Yeah, because I don't think we knew him when we first set this up. I don't think we knew him.
Yeah,
He
and then as we said on his
later.
podcast, I think he said, you know, we had asked him the first time we met him on the first game.
Yeah,
yeah. And ever since he's been in, and again he's been very easy to deal with, you know.
Yeah, he has been, and I'm really excited to see how he gets on out there.
I hope he does well.
I hope
really
he does really
He
well.
deserves it.
This is an interesting one, the next one that we announced. Talking about mercurial and not knowing what to expect from players. Gurpal Singh.
So Gerps I've known the longest out of everyone in the team.
Yeah, I think you, Gerps and Sam go back to Colts cricket together, don't you?
So I knew Gerps before Sam, because I used to play with Gerps. So Gerps played for a different Colts team, but we played county schools. So we played together for Surrey schools or something like that, or Croydon schools, something like that. And yeah, like, so basically in Colts, like my Colts team and his Colts team were like the best 2 teams in the league, and we used to like fight for the league every year. And then obviously, like as you can imagine, like some of their players and some of our players were in the, you know, like district, you know, schools team. So I knew Guppy when I was about 13. So I've actually known him for like 13 years, or no longer than that, yeah. No,
Yeah, and I would imagine
16 years.
in those 16 years, he has more than once had the capacity to infuriate people as a cricketer, doesn't he? Because he does some of the most bizarre things you've ever seen. But then the week after, he'll do something so brilliant. It'll be a direct hit from the boundary, or it'll be some leg spin that rags square, it'll be some 50 that's just blasted the other team away. When he's on,
Yeah, he can tear a team apart.
he's one of them. In this Ashes series, Gerps is not going to get runs in every game. We know that. But if he gets going, he will win us one game on his own.
Yeah.
one game, 15, 20 minutes ago, so we're going to win.
He can destroy a team in 20
He
minutes.
just blasts people to bits, doesn't he?
He can, with the bat, he can, if he gets it right.
And he does it with style. Such a good watch when he's going as well.
If he gets it right, he can destroy a team in 20 minutes. And obviously with the ball, we've got his leg spin back, because when I played
big plus
county schools with him, he used to actually be a leggy.
Yeah, he was there as a leggy.
Yeah. So to get that back, because obviously in our one it doesn't really spin in our game, but obviously we know it's going to spin in Australia when he gets a little bit rough. And for him to bring his leg spin back is, we've managed to sort of get it to a place where it used to be. Yeah. And I won't say too much on it, but it's going to be a really good weapon.
Well, what I would say is, even forgetting about us trying to win, as a neutral, and for the Aussies and for us and for everybody who's going to be watching this series, I think it's great that he's looking good at the minute, because it just gives a different dimension to the series, doesn't it? They haven't got. I've never seen a leg spinner at the WCG.
I think there was one.
It just gives the series something a little different.
Yeah, I think the Kiwis had one, but I don't think they.
I think they did.
I don't think they can. I don't think they are going to have seen the leg spinner like Gerbs.
Yeah,
it's going to be something special to watch. So.
It is if he gets it right. It just brings. It's just nice, whether he does well or not. It's nice to see something a bit different.
And that's an advantage for us, because the Aussies aren't used to facing him.
It's easy for a taped-up tennis ball, everyone to just run in, bowl fast, medium, and just see what happens. Let it swing around. But for him to take that leap and do something different, he deserves a lot of credit. For that.
No, it's fantastic. I asked him. I said to him, look, because I knew what he could do with the ball, spinning wise, and I said to him, look, we're lacking a spinner. I knew what you can do with it, and he sort of wasn't confident because he hadn't bowled it for a while. I said, look, just do a couple of sessions. Don't worry about, if you overpitch it now. Just get it. And the last couple of sessions, he's been pitching it.
And we're not expecting him to bowl constant maiden overs. We're not expecting a leg spinner in any form of cricket to do that. Yeah. He's there to attack and express himself.
Yeah.
And when he does, it's great.
But credit to him, because
a lot of credit.
Because he hasn't bowled leg spin for years, and he wasn't confident. I don't know what stopped him from doing it. I'm not sure.
I think when I did his podcast with him, he said he took some time out of the game. He didn't play for a couple of years, and then when he came back, he didn't really. He kind of lost it.
So I asked the question. I said, look, can you bring it back? Can you bring it back for us? And he, to be fair to him, he went, yeah, we'll give it a go, and it looks like it's going to pay off. And I think if he keeps his head and keeps practicing in the next training session, he's going to be a weapon. For sure.
Yeah, 100%. And another really, really nice guy, and another one who's great to have. Really honest, straightforward dude.
As I said, I've known him the longest out of the whole team.
Yeah,
and
very good.
He's such a nice
Heart
guy.
Gold.
Yeah, such a nice guy.
He's one of them. He's been around my house doing repairs for me and things like this for free.
There's not a bad bone in his body. He's fantastic to have around. And again, it's a pleasure to go to Australia with him. It's going to be great.
So we've got two here. I'm going to group these two together, which is Connor Arnold and Anthony Mapleston. They're the next two that we announced. The reason I grouped them together is because they'll be unfamiliar to people who have watched our channel, because they haven't played a televised game yet. Yeah. But we've been in training with them. Those were the two who didn't know the rest of the team so well. And they have gelled in as players and as people in the group. I've been so surprised by how well they've integrated. They have gelled in beautifully.
Yeah, so there's a bit of an age gap, because I think the rest of our players, other than and Connor, I think we've sort of very.
They're all within about 5 years.
It's about 33 to 26 or 25.
Yeah, it's all quite bunched together.
Yeah, so we're sort of bunched together, and then them two, I think, at 21.
They brought a youthful energy and enthusiasm, a little bit of naivety, but in a good way.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I've got nothing but praise for both of them. They've been fantastic. They've gelled together. I would say, sort of out of the two, they know everyone the least.
And I think it helps that they know each other. They're not both strangers coming in. They're really, really good mates, which means they've got each other for support as well, which I think has helped them.
And do you know what? They've come into it and they're so keen. They've got so much energy.
That's been the big impression for me. Obviously, they've really impressed us on the pitch in the session, but what's most impressive has been the way they've just dived into it. They haven't been shy or awkward. They haven't been nervous or I don't know if I'm going to do well. They've just bombed straight. I can't wait to be a part of it. Let's go and have a drink. I want to talk to this guy. I want to get to know this guy. They've just barreled head first.
They've been brilliant, and
they've been fantastic.
And their attitude towards the training has been phenomenal. I mean, my worry was because I sort of knew Ant, because I've played against him. I've played a couple of games with him. So I knew sort of, obviously you weren't sure because you didn't know him, you think, how's he going to be adaptable? But I remember saying to you, I said, I know what he's like, I've seen him play, he will adapt to this quickly. And he did. I was proven right.
He did. Yeah, he's looking good in colour as well.
Ant is looking very. We won't go into too much detail because we don't want to.
But we like it. We like.
But Ant is looking really good, and Connor as well. Like Connor, bearing in mind Connor. Obviously, Ant plays cricket now.
Yeah, Connor's had a bit of a gap.
Connor's had a bit of a gap
into this.
But again, you know, from what we've seen with him, very impressed. Again,
I really like his attitude. He seems like another one, like we said about you and we said about Crowbar, he seems like another one who will enjoy when it gets to the big close moments.
Yeah.
When it gets tight, I think that's when we'll see the best of him.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited to see how he gets on. I really like both of them. I think they've been fantastic.
Yeah, no, they've been great coming in. Obviously, they've just finished uni, so obviously, you know, to be asked to come to Australia after uni is a bit of a lie. But
yeah,
they've been very good.
The only criticism I have of either of them, and the only thing that worries me about either of them going into this series, is I'm told Connor likes to finish a night out early, doesn't he? He's an early nighter, Connor, and that is unacceptable when we're out.
I'm sure that would change once.
Yeah, that's fine when we're over here, but when we're in Sydney and we're out with all the Aussie boys at the WCG, you can't be 11:30 bedtime. Then absolutely, no, we can't have that.
He'll be fine.
Other than that, yeah, like I say,
good
nothing but praise for them too.
Yeah, no, they've been fantastic coming in.
Yeah.
And you know, they've both adapted. You know, we've had a few training sessions now, and they both adapted really well. So I'm happy with it.
More importantly, they've adapted so well off the pitch, because that's the main thing. It's not just an Ashes story; it's a holiday. And 3 weeks, all the sacrifices people have made. Even if you do well on the pitch, to have a crap time because you're not getting on with your team, or you're not feeling a part of it, you're not really feeling involved, you feel left out. That would suck, even if you win.
Yeah, and do you know what? I don't think as a group we've made everyone feel very part of the team.
Well, everybody is. You know, everyone has been an equal part of this team and will continue to be. Which brings us to our last two selections. Now, this is another one who wasn't in the original squad and has come in at short notice, and I'm very grateful that he's done that. Sam Dennis. Is it fair to say the 10 that we've got here in club cricket, would Sam be the best player?
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah, very, very fine player. In backyard, we've maybe not seen the best of him in the domestic series, but we think he's going to do well.
Yeah, so I've known Sam from Colts, so very young age, about 15. Probably, other than Gert's, probably known him the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam's a fantastic batsman. He's definitely, you know, the best player, normal cricket player in our team. Do you know what? I was so in, because we started training on proper pitches, and I had a feeling. I said to you, I remember saying to you, I said, if we get him batting on a proper pitch, I think that'll suit him.
It certainly suits him more than the indoor venues.
And I was so impressed with the last training session we had on the proper pitch. And he was very good. And do you know what? I'm actually very confident he'll do well in Australia. I'm really confident.
I'm really growing to like his bowling as well.
And his bowling.
It's unique, and again, it's not really been on camera, so it'll be a bit of a surprise to everyone when the Ashes rolls around. The Aussies won't be expecting it, but we won't go into detail and spoil it for the Aussies. But we'll say he does some odd things.
Yeah, he's a few, you know, with his action, he sometimes can put off the batsman. Not like, obviously, there's nothing illegal about it.
No, not at all. It's
just his action is very off-putting, and it's funny to watch because it doesn't look like it's serious, but he actually bowls better. When
but he is again cleverer than he looks.
Yeah.
But not that's difficult.
And I think as well. I mean, a lot of us do go on about his batting because he's a batsman in normal cricket.
But he's an all-rounder in this.
But in this, his bowling is very good. Like the last series, he impressed me. I think he done very well in the last series as a bowler. And I don't think it's not, you know, there's no doubt about it. He's an all-rounder in this.
100%.
And yeah, I think he's going to be such an important player.
And off the pitch, quite a quiet guy. He's not the most vocal or the loudest. Quite a quiet guy, but very intelligent, good sense of humour.
Yeah.
And another one who just gets on well with the group.
Yeah. So he's very quiet. You know, he's not the loudest in the team. Which is probably quite difficult in our team.
Yeah, not a lot of room to be the loudest in that team.
But you know, he's a very funny guy. If you sit down with him, you know, we've been to like gigs together and stuff. It's like the same music, and yeah, he's very funny. You know, he's a good laugh. I love Sam, and you know, it's going to be great to have him with us. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
you know, as I said, you know, I said to everyone, it's going to be a pleasure to be with them. It's the group we've got. It's fantastic.
We are very blessed. Whatever you make of our team on the pitch, off the pitch, you can hardly pick a better.
It's a great
lot.
bunch. It's a great bunch.
And that leaves us to our last pick for the Ashes,
Yeah.
which is Yusuf Sharif,
Yes.
and another one who wasn't in the original squad. And we were quite a last-minute recruitment because initially we didn't think there was any chance he would come, but then everything changed, and he said, "Yes, I'm in." That is a massive boon for us, isn't it? That
Yeah,
is
so
a huge boost.
Yusuf, obviously another nice guy, another lovely guy,
Just
one of the nicest guys. Probably, I would say, sort of in the last couple of years, sort of one of my best friends, I'd say.
Yeah, he's really become more of a, because
Yeah.
obviously he plays for a different club team, and we didn't really know him that well until a few years ago when he started coming over a little bit more.
Yeah.
And he's just got on with everyone like a house on
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, one
To
of
the
the-
point where he's now a backyard captain.
Yeah.
Now a domestic captain.
One of the nicest guys. I consider him one of my best friends. He's a great cricketer in normal cricket. He's one that have adapted. He adapted so quickly in the indoor cricket.
He is stubborn beyond belief. I've found that from captaining against him as well. He can be, I think he will, if he gets in this series, he may not score the most runs, he might not be the most exciting or whatever, but he will be the one, if he gets in, that annoys the Aussies the most. He would just gets on your nerves when he's in, doesn't he?
He's got such a good attitude as well. Like,
Yeah.
I know he said to you, like, I'm not happy with my batting. Can we go for a private session? And just little things like that, like, you know, and then, you know, you've gone for a session, and then we go to the next full training session, and he looks like,
You see the improvement.
see so good.
You see
you
the
know,
reward
and,
for his work.
You know, for someone to go, yeah, this is my weakness, and now I'm gonna work on it, and come back, and then, you know, it just goes to show what a great player he is.
And
You
what
know,
a great
just off the
mindset
pitch.
he's got.
Yeah.
And that's a leader's attitude. When we talk about having leaders in the team, and we said we've got 3 or 4 players who have captained in this team, he just shows why, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He conducts himself like a leader. He's not big or shouty, he's not one for like big speeches or anything. But just, he's a leader by example, the way he goes about things.
Yeah, he's another one that's great to have in the team. You know that you've got someone that will, again, invest in what you believe in.
100%.
And, you know, he's so good with the bat and the ball. Just a natural rounder. I don't think there's anyone in our team that can do both so well.
He's
both
probably got
forms
the
of
best
cricket.
balance.
In
Yeah.
both forms of cricket.
Yeah.
So, for example, he's an all-rounder in normal cricket, and he's
And
an
an
all-rounder.
all-rounder in
Whereas
this, yeah.
in other cricket,
Equally good.
you're a specialist batsman.
You're the
wicket-keeper
wicket
batsman.
keeper, yeah,
you know,
we got-
Jake's a bowler. You know, Gertz is a batsman now. So he's the only Sam's a batsman. So we've sort of got Jimmy's a bowler. So we've got like he's the one that kind of, other than maybe Anthony as well.
Yeah, him and Anthony are the two
Yeah.
that are all-rounders in club cricket as well as this.
Yeah,
In a
very
way that
talented.
probably not many other people are.
Very talented. And I think he will play. I think Yusuf will play a massive part in whether we win or not.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to put pressure on him, but he's one of the players we're looking at that could have a big series.
Yeah.
And like I say, just the way he bats, he knows his game so well, and he's so stubborn. He's the nicest bloke in the world, but when you're playing or bowling or captaining against him, he drives you bananas.
And I love his competitiveness as well.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You get nothing cheap off Yusuf.
No.
Even if they're getting slaughtered, he'll dive for every ball in the field and hurl your stumps down. He'll bowl every ball with his heart on the line. Every ball he's facing, there's no cheap wickets.
Yeah.
You have to grind for everything you get out of that guy.
Yeah.
Which is annoying when you're against him, but when he's on your team, it doesn't half make it valuable.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And they will, to get him out, they will have to bowl a good ball.
Yeah.
A shit
And to
ball-
score runs off him, you're going to have to play a good shot.
Yeah.
You're not going to get full tosses off
No.
track, because when he bats, you're not going to get over the fence cheap things. You're going to have to
Yeah.
work against
Oh,
him.
he will be the one where, if anything, you know, he will never give away his wicket.
100%.
He is one that doesn't give away his wicket, and
Loves batting.
and a great
Loves
bowler.
batting.
You know, can swing it naturally. It's so excited to have Yusuf with us, and basically, as I said to you, you know, in the car journey before we got here, is sort of at that point when Yusuf wasn't going to come. That was kind of the balance. It was hanging in the balance.
That was a tipping point, I think.
Yeah.
Whether this tour would go ahead or not was on the line, because
Yeah.
we were having so much difficulty.
We'd
with
lost a
different
few
things.
players, didn't we?
We'd lost players, the pandemic, problems with airline, all this kind of stuff. There was so much going wrong.
Yeah.
Him agreeing to come, I think, was the tipping point that kind of got it back on track.
Yeah, because basically we were at a point
we were
where
close to sacking.
yeah, we were
him.
at a point where we were
close.
3 players short.
I don't think the Aussies even know that. I don't think the
No,
Aussies
no,
even know how
no.
close we came to abandoning this project.
No, it was so close where we lost 3 players from the last time we were meant to go.
And lost them quickly.
Yeah, and we were kind of like, because it went from 8 sides to 10 sides, so effectively we kind of needed, I think we got to a situation, because we added Crowther, Sam, we got to a situation where I think we needed 3 players, and we were like, okay, if we can get Yusuf, we can look for 2 players, it's realistic. If Yusuf says no, we've got to look for 3 players, and that is a big ask to try and get 3 players to the other side of the world. So kind of at that point when he changed his mind and went, yeah,
I can do it, was a massive point where we thought actually this series could be back on. You know, and I think that was about a year ago or two.
And the other thing I would say for Yusuf and for Jimmy Maguire would be the other one as well. Other players as well have done their piece, but the one thing I would say for Yusuf and Jimmy Maguire, they've been the two players who have given us the biggest help in terms of organising domestic series.
Yes.
When we're putting the venues together and doing everything for the domestic games, we've largely done it as just us.
Yeah.
But Jimmy and Yusuf are the ones who always step forward and want to help and do things.
Set away afterwards, stuff like that.
So
they've been fantastic.
They deserve
and I think, you know, I don't think, sort of going back to Jimmy as well, I don't think he's going to be a big player in this series as well. And I think if he can hit the heights that he did in the last domestic series, he will be one of the top wicket takers, I think, in the series. For sure.
And you know, I'm looking at this team and I'm just thinking, whereas if you look at the first team, we had non-cricketers in there and things like this. You look at this team, I don't see any player in that team that I think, oh God, I'm worried about him.
No.
Oh, he's going to struggle. All right, we've got 9 good players, but this one's going to struggle.
No.
You know, I don't see any players like that in our team.
Because we've got players that are prepared to work on little things as well.
Yeah.
Like it's such a privilege. You know, the last thing we wanted to do after organising it all is have players that can't be bothered to work on stuff, and to have people like, you know, Crowther going to the park, just doing little things. You know, people like Yusuf asking you for little sessions. I know you and Yusuf are going for a little session on Monday. You know, to work on a few things, but it's really like minor details. You know, and to have 10 players that are prepared to work, they've all come to the training sessions.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the big takeaway for me, because you can get 10 players, you can put all the work in, you can do all the planning. What you can't do anything about is the attitude that those 10 people bring. And you might get 1 or 2 with big egos who don't want to work, 1 or 2 that are too shy and scared and don't want to do anything, 1 or 2 who don't really care, they're just there for the booze. We have been so lucky.
Yeah, we have.
The 8 that we've got coming with us, the attitude, it's hard to say how good it's been without sounding like you're over-exaggerating, but it really has been just top draw. It could be better than we thought it would be.
No.
Better than we could have expected it to be.
No, I'm extremely happy with our team. I think that team can challenge, and I think it will give the Aussies a really good series.
And it's frightening to think that you would argue maybe if we were holding a domestic series where we had all players available, that's probably not our strongest team on paper.
No.
But I'd argue that could be our strongest team in terms of mentality.
Yes.
Maybe you want to chuck Rob Maguire in there because he's got an excellent mentality as well. But in terms of like mindset, attitude to a 3-week trip and approach to it all, I'd argue you probably can't get a better 10 than that.
Yeah, obviously it's disappointing. Obviously Rob can't come, but to be honest, you know, we're not going to say who, but we've got replacements. We've got a replacement for Rob in terms of, you know, obviously it's nice to have Rob as well, but
yeah, I got to admit, when he pulled out, I think the Aussies will be delighted to learn that Rob's not coming. I think he would have been the one that was maybe giving them sleepless nights. So they'll be thrilled to learn he's not coming, and we won't say too much, but what I'll say is, having trained with this team, we are now not particularly feeling his absence as much as we might have done.
Look, he's a fantastic player.
And that's not a criticism of Rob in any way. He's brilliant.
He's a fantastic player.
We're not feeling that loss as much as we could have been.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player, and we'll always, you know, you'd always want him in your team.
Always, yeah.
But my fear when he pulled out was that where are we going to find someone like that?
That X factor.
And we found that,
and which
is fantastic.
Yeah, we have some of that, and like I say, we won't say too much, but we are feeling that loss a little less.
Yeah.
So that squad overall, what does that look like on the pitch to you? Where's the strengths, and do you see any weaknesses in this team? Where do you think the Aussies have got the edge on us? Where do you think we've got the edge on them with that squad?
I certainly think the Aussies will be very overconfident. I think I think they're already very overconfident, and I think that's great, because I think I would rather them be surprised by what we bring than they be too prepared. I'm quite happy for them to be confident, overly confident, and I do think, honestly, it's going to be a very close series.
The thing that strikes me about our squad compared to theirs, the one thing that really stands out for me is that our squad is a lot younger. They have a bigger spread, and it depends which way you look at that. We might have more energy, might last into the series, we might have more energy reserves. But then they've obviously got a lot more experience.
Yeah, they've got more players to choose from, obviously.
Yeah, and they can rotate players in and out. That's another advantage they've got. They can swap people in and out. We've got the 10 that we've got.
Yeah.
But I do think we have a younger and I think one thing that might really benefit us, again, it's hard to say with the Aussies because we know nothing about them off the pitch. But if you look at this team, 7, 8, 9 of these people have been mates and good mates for 10 years.
Yeah.
These people that have known each other a long time. There's a togetherness here that goes beyond just forging a squad. There's a togetherness here as mates from a long time.
And I think that's the advantage we have over when the Kiwis came over, because I think what happened with the Kiwis, I think Brendan was saying, is that they were kind of all from different
They were a bit of a
places.
hodgepodge.
Yeah, so they didn't really know each other that well. Obviously, a few of them knew each other, but not as a team.
It helps you on the pitch to really back each other up
Yeah.
in the field, support your teammates,
We've been
give
very
all
close
for
for
each
years.
other. Yeah, it helps the people here know each other inside out. So that's our squad, and we're happy with that.
Yes,
That's a
very
gun squad. And I think then that what's left to say then is let's just finish by talking a little bit. But we've got about 5 minutes left, 10 minutes tops. Let's just talk a little bit about the series then, in terms of what you want to get from it. So obviously, aside from winning, which would be nice,
Yeah.
what looks like a good series for Ricky Borrett, aside from winning or losing?
In terms of the team?
Yeah, in terms of the team, in terms of your own game, in terms of off the pitch as well, and what are you looking to get from this tour? It's 3 weeks. It's not just about
Yeah, of course. Like, you know, I know we're going to have a great time off the pitch. I know the Aussies are going to be a great laugh as well. So off the pitch, I think it's going to take care of itself a little bit. I think it's going to be fantastic to go there. I know a lot of us haven't been to the other side of the world.
I think we've got 2 players that have been to Australia before out of 10.
Yeah. And a couple of us haven't gone further than a 4-hour flight from the UK. So, you know, me being one of them. So, so I think the experience of going there is going to be fantastic. You know, from what I see with the New Zealand series, I think the Aussies, to credit to them, they're fantastic hosts by the looks of it.
The New Zealanders were saying it as well,
Yeah.
and I think we can see it there. They are so generous with their hospitality,
Yeah.
and that we're really grateful in advance.
Yeah, so I think they're going to be a great laugh. I think on the pitch, I actually think it's going to be a really good series.
On the pitch, I think we're going to hate their guts, and
Yeah.
we're going to be at each other.
I think
It's
they're
going to
gonna
be,
hate us as well.
it's going to be an aggressive series on the pitch, but it's going to be one of them where the second that game ends, we're all going to be best mates.
Yeah,
and it's
going to be. I think it's going to be a really tight series. I think it's a shame that because the New Zealand series they won it.
They dominated it quite well.
Yeah, they were never really. I mean, as much as
they had some good results at the back end.
The
but it was
Kiwis,
done by them,
the
wasn't
Kiwis
it?
did fight back, but it was kind of looking at it as a viewer.
Yeah.
I never felt like the
There was never that degree of tension. You never watched
Yeah.
their series and felt, oh, who's going to win this?
Yeah. Whereas I feel.
Whereas I think ours will go up and down and backwards and forwards. I think we'll win one game, they'll come back. We'll be in charge, they'll come back. It will just go forward and back.
And I think it will be a very, very good series.
It'd be nice to get one like the actual Ashes that we had this summer, like that kind of energy.
The other way
and
round.
atmosphere. Yeah, except
We win.
Well, yeah, I mean, but just that kind of entertainment and
Yeah.
energy about it. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, I think it will be a really good series. I think it'll be a close series. I think, as I said to you, I think we've marginally got a better team. But they've got advantages. They've got more players to choose from. They've got the weather, their own pitch. You know, they've got crowd. Whoever they have watching will be obviously supporting them. So you know, it balances itself out, and I think it will be a really, really tight series. I'm hoping we edge it. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'm hoping we win it. But obviously, the main thing is win or lose. What an experience!
It will be fantastic.
What an experience this is going
And
to be.
I'm hoping, and I'm hoping it'll be the start of something, because obviously.
Yeah, we're very much, and I think the Aussies agree. I don't think they'll mind us saying this. I think they agree. We're very much seeing this as the start of the journey rather than the end of it.
Yeah.
It's not the be all and end all. Let's get this Ashes series, then we're done with that. We want this to be start of a relationship with them. Where
Yeah,
we do return series,
exactly, and obviously
big old World Cups.
Yeah,
maybe.
and we're in, obviously, not to go into too much detail, we're in the process of slowly getting to where the Aussies are getting in terms of their channel.
Yeah, so we won't give any information about this because we don't know what will and won't happen, but
Yeah.
I will say there are tentative talks going ahead about a ground for us.
Yeah, hopefully,
That's for the future.
and then and I think there's a space in our country for it. You know, I think there's not many people that do it.
I don't think Croydon is it.
No, it's definitely not. But yeah, and then you never know with a return series if we can get a decent pitch, which we're hoping of doing next year or two. So yeah, you never know. And I think you're right. It's the start of something. And
Yeah, we don't want this to be the end of the line. We don't want to play this series and then go your separate ways. Nice meeting you boys, and we're never going to speak to them again. We don't want that to be the end of it.
yeah. So yeah, no, it will definitely start saying, and it's gonna. I'm sorry. You know, we're in this very room last night with most of the team. I know you weren't here, but most of the team were here, and you know, they're so excited for it. Everyone is buzzing for it.
and we can't wait for the series. Everyone, you know, was saying it's going to be great. You know, it's 9 weeks away or something like that.
So let's just close by adding a bit of perspective and a bit of context then. We've spoken about us, we've spoken about the Aussies in this series, but if we get a good series here, what will this do for backyard cricket as a whole? Not just for us, not just for the WCG, because they've got viewers from all over the world.
Yeah.
We've had some viewers from worldwide. What does this do for the backyard game, and what is the next step? If we have a brilliant series here, whoever wins, if we have a thriller here and a thrilling World Cup, where does backyard cricket go from that?
I
I think the first thing has to be a bigger World Cup.
Yeah, I think obviously I know they're looking. I know the Aussies.
I know they're very keen on that.
Very keen on that, and obviously getting our brand out here in England.
Yeah, I think that's what we're missing. We're missing some English recognition.
Yeah, and it's good. Like, you know, it's amazing how. What I love about it is it's amazing how it kind of doesn't matter how good or bad you are at normal cricket. It's a different game.
Well, we've seen both ends of that. We've seen players who we regard as poor club players be outstanding in this, and then players who are very, very fine club players who've been terrible.
Yeah.
So it's almost a different sport.
Yeah. So it's great, and you know, it's always good to have different versions. You know, you have like. You know, you have football, and then you have like beach football, and then you have different indoor futsal, and you know, it's great to have different versions of stuff. You know, and I think there really is a space for it, especially in our country, for it. And you know, I think we can grow the brand for sure, and that's what we'll be looking to do in the future, I think.
And that is it. So I think we'll call it quits there. We've done about an hour and a half, so I think that's probably a good time not to, because we could go on forever, let's be honest.
We've got drinks to attend to.
Yes, we certainly do. We are getting very drunk today, actually, as it happens, to celebrate having everything done for this year.
Yeah, everything's
done.
Everything now is done in terms of organising, you know, stuff, flights, etc. Transfers, blah, blah,
4
blah.
years of work, and this morning, we put the final pieces through and did the final bits and pieces this morning. We are spending the rest of our day getting absolutely hammered to celebrate that. So all that's left, as we always do, we're going to finish by asking you to have a look down there and give your final message to the WCG. Everybody's done it.
Yeah.
What do you want to say to them before we come out there? Anything that's on your mind? This would be the time.
Yeah, so I would like them to keep being very confident. I love the confidence. Keep doing it, and if Brendan could get another edge first ball live on TV, because our game's the first WCG game that's going to be live, isn't it? On
yes, it is.
YouTube. So if you could get another first baller to the Auto Wiki live, that would be lovely. And if I'm bowling it, that would be even better. And yeah. Keep commenting on Instagram, it's great.
There you go. Well, message challenge laid down. There's your gauntlet. And I will say, just to close up there, a big thank you to Ricky Borrett, the captain for the BCE Tour of Australia. This is going to be our leader. Big thank you to the WCG for having us. We are excited to see you guys there. This may be the last podcast we do before we come. So if it is, I just want to say we're really excited to meet you guys, and thank you so much for having us. Big thank you, like we said again, to Telsa Media, who sponsor this podcast and our channel and our tour. They've been immense. And a big thank you to all the players on the Backyard Cricket England team who have committed so much to making this tour happen, and everyone else, friends, family along the line that have helped as well. This may be the last podcast of the summer. If that is the case, we will see you in Sydney. Thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you all on YouTube on the 3rd of November. And in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your summers, and we will see you in the WCG.